Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the secular recovery live video. So we got some serene music playing in the background to kind of mark the occasion, I suppose. Hey, Bobby, what do you think?
Yeah, put it up a little louder. I can't even hear it, man. I like that stuff. I'm into that stuff.
Cool. Okay. I'm just sharing the link. Do you want me to share the link
Yeah,
to your
go.
group?
Yeah, go ahead, and then I'll prove it.
Okay. Just want to get. Oh, there we go. Share to a group. Jeez, let me get onto the right thing here. Sorry. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool, man. We're here. We're here, everybody. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah,
Um,
Ryan just came up with this thing today. He kind of wanted to put this out, and I said, "Hey, can I jump on with you?" And he agreed. So I'm here with him. So great.
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks for that. So load shedding prevented us from the rolling blackouts that I was telling you about. Obviously, prevented us from doing this earlier, but we're here. So to kick it off, I think secular. So the idea was originally to sort of do a live video on secular 12 steps and secular recovery. Um, Bobby, you mentioned you're going to give me some pushback on bringing the 12 steps into the equation. Um, but I think I'm going to. So, look, secular spirituality is a bit of an oxymoron in a lot of ways. The secular implies the absence of, religious or spiritual kind of concepts, right? I looked up the definition earlier, so it definitely excluded the word spirituality from that definition. Can I turn this off, eh? This music.
Yeah, yeah. You could turn it off.
It's too spiritual for me.
Turn it off.
There we go. Cool. So obviously the 12 steps embody, well, the word God is mentioned, I think, what, 5 out of the 12 steps, right? Um, and a lot of people take issue with that and don't really like it. Um, and I was on an AA group on Facebook a bit earlier as well, and somebody was sort of questioning that, and I was reading through all of the comments, and somebody sort of posted a list of secular 12 steps. Um, so, sorry, let me just turn that off. Oh, just by the way, if anybody wants to participate, you're welcome to comment. I'll post the comments, or you can hop onto the live feed. I've posted the links in the live in the comments. Um, so I mean, with step one, we admit we're powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. And so I think anybody that comes into a treatment center, by the time they get to the treatment center, it's pretty difficult to overlook that their life is pretty much unmanageable. I mean, I suppose you wouldn't end up in a treatment center if it was otherwise, right? Um, and in terms of the powerless aspect, and I know this is where you're going to push back, Bobby, but the powerless sort of element of it, um, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily mean powerless over all things in our lives, right? I mean, it's like a distinct reference to the fact that we're powerless over alcohol when we start using it, right?
Right. Well, look, a habit. In the beginning, I choose to drink. I
Mm.
choose to pick up the drink. So after a long period of choosing that, it becomes a habit. Okay? So if I was powerless over it, how would I stop? Be capable of stopping? I mean, I'm really me per look, a habit is hard. It's hard. It's difficult to stop sometimes, okay? So I had a problematic habitual habit with alcohol. In the beginning, I choose it, and now, now I stopped. I don't have it. So I don't know
Well,
how I'm powerless. Am I powerless over the alcohol, the drink? Some people say no. Some people say yes. I don't, For me, look, I chose abstinence. There's some people that were in Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, this is true. This ain't some made up stuff. There's some people that were in Alcoholics Anonymous, and they chose to drink again, and they drink moderately. I mean, it's a fact. There's people out there. You know,
mm,
I'm here to tell them. Now, me, I choose abstinence. That's my lifestyle.
mm. Look, I think that's a really complicated. That's really where it gets very complicated. I think. Look, um, the powerlessness can point to a couple of things, right? So one of the things is specifically with regards to alcohol, it can point to the physiological dependence, right? So I drink so much that and so regularly that at some point, when I stopped drinking, my body goes into withdrawal. Okay, and I start the physiological withdrawal, and I need that next drink. Okay, so powerless from that point of view. Um, I suppose then you have to take the next couple of steps into account because, if you're powerless from that point of view, step two comes into the equation where it's like, okay, cool, you can't stop on your own, unless prepared to, risk having a seizure and dying. So probably your best course of action would be to go to a doctor and get some help with those physiological withdrawals or book yourself into a rehab or a detox, right?
Well, I most people I know back in them days, they didn't even go into detoxes. They look, if you drank a lot and you want to go into a detox, go ahead. There's so many people that didn't go into detoxes from alcohol and drugs. Uh, I hear a lot of people that were heroin addicts that the withdrawal is like a week, and it's like a super bad flu, and it could be very dangerous. So you go into a detox for 2 days, 3 days if you're worried about it. That's what I would recommend. Me personally, I didn't have to go into a detox or rehab.
Look, yeah, look, I mean, I think where there's withdrawal involved, specific, in particular where it's with relating to alcohol, I think it's important that people get medical assistance with regards to that. Say, like where it's where there's withdrawal involved, I think because it can be dangerous. I know that the two withdrawals that people can die from are the withdrawals from alcohol and the withdrawals from benzodiazepines, which work on the same part of the brain as alcohol, which is why they use benzodiazepines to taper people off of alcohol, right? Um, so you're not in agreement with me that where there's a physiological dependence, we can use the word powerless.
No. Yeah, I mean that's just me because there's a lot of modalities and models today, and there's statistics that show it.
Mm,
That me personally, I don't know because I haven't I mean I've been abstinent for so long, and
mm,
that's just my lifestyle. I don't have to do nothing to maintain. It just is. It's like smoking. I don't have to control smoking. I'm not abstinent from smoking. I don't control it. I don't moderate it. I don't have to use harm reduction for it. It just is. I
mm,
just my lifestyle is just is today. I don't even have to do anything. But go ahead. Let's go through these. If you
mm.
want to, you want to go through them, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, look, in terms of step one, again, we come into a um, we come to a place where we feel that we need to sort of embark on this journey of self-discovery or recovery or whatever you want to call it, because our lives are such a such a bloody mess. Okay, whether it be because of the habits or whether it be because of the physiological aspects, whether it be because of whatever the emotional turmoil or ultimatums from people or whatever it be, we get to a place where it's like, okay, cool, we can't sort of hide from the fact that things are a mess. Can we phrase it that way?
Yeah, some people are more in a mess than others. We have to realize that.
No,
We're
sure.
trying to kind of like are you a real alcoholic? Well, you go into a room and the war stories are different.
Mm.
Okay?
Well, look, I mean, I think people. Not everybody that walks through the doors of a rehab are like require some sort of version of like religious conversion to be able to um, solve their addiction problem. Hey, Sophia, welcome.
Hey guys. Hey Sophia, how you doing, girl? Yeah, look, the statistics show that there's like 33% of people get sober and from drugs and alcohol on their own. They
Mm,
quit. They don't even go into rehabs or detoxes. Okay, it's a
mm.
scientific fact. Look at the percentages of people that are forced into treatments that that really may not even be, you know, qualified for, Alcoholics Anonymous, and they're labeled alcoholics, and they're really not. They got other problems. First of all, alcohol and drugs is just a symptom. It's not the root cause. We all know that.
Tell me, Bobby, do you feel like the word powerlessness starts with, do you think it opens the door to religious concepts or spiritual concepts? Do you think that's sort of maybe what that word, what you're having a hard time with in terms of that word?
Well, I'm not. It's just not me. It's millions of us, and we look. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. First of all, there's some people that went into detox on their own.
Yeah.
That's pretty. That that's proven it's not unmanageable because they're managing to go into a rehab. I mean, so
Mm.
this definition of powerlessness and unmanageability, look, some people chose to go into a rehab. They made the decision. We don't all come into Alcoholics Anonymous and our whole lives are unmanageable, because how in the hell did we manage to get to the meeting?
Well, look, things are no doubt. Things are no doubt. We aren't in the best of places, at least. Hey, I mean, I know that's true. That from my own subjective experience, that was true for me. I mean, I don't want to sort of, is there an objective um, motive that we can sort of blanket for
To agree,
everybody?
to agree on, okay, agree on.
Sure.
I'll agree on this here. Cause and effect. The consequences of my behavior, uh, kind of, it definitely helped me to seek help. Okay. And we talked about that on the last podcast. They call them bottoms. I don't call them bottoms, but it was it was the circumstances that a lot of people, a lot of other people, a lot of external forces put pressure on me, because it became more painful than pleasurable.
Mm, mm. No, sure. So yeah, so our lives weren't perfect. They weren't in order. We needed to sort of do something to re
I like
you know.
that. I like that. It wasn't in order. It was disorderly.
Mm,
I like
mm,
that.
mm.
I was out of balance.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think then that takes us on to step two then, right? So we can agree that things weren't in order. Um, if we can look at our lives and acknowledge that and believe that, that kind of like leaves us with a feeling of a bit of hopelessness. Would you say it could leave us with a feeling of hopelessness?
That's only because you're going into a program that promotes the hopelessness in the very beginning. Now,
Okay.
we're talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. Me personally, I wouldn't even be talking about AA or the 12 steps, because I don't like to give it. I don't like it to
Hey,
give it
Tom.
that much power. I'm giving it power even by talking about it. But here, look, we could, we could, people go to therapy. They go into all different other places and they get
Mm,
help.
mm,
Life is secular. Mostly all life is secular.
mm,
It's not religious. It's not. We go on our daily lives. It's mostly secular. Now,
mm,
do I believe that I have a spiritual life too? Yes, I do. I believe life itself is spiritual. That's my belief. I don't have to get into anything. I just believe living life is spiritual.
When you say
And
spiritual, what do you mean by that though? Like,
um there's a lot that it's when you we always say self-discovery.
mm,
When I say
okay,
spiritual, I mean getting in touch with myself, my human spirit. What is a human spirit then? Okay, so we have to define human spirit. It's everybody can define it differently. Mine is my intuition.
mm,
Okay, um, my ability to feel, have empathy, different feelings and emotions. That's spiritual to me. My heart, which is the generator, the care, my attention, the love I give or take in, the compassion, understanding. To me, that is spiritual.
mm,
Now,
okay,
somebody may say, "Hey, I can relate to that, but I don't call it spiritual." That's okay. To me, it's about like the body, heart, the mind, the feelings. It's not about what I believe, but or it's about what I do,
mm. I feel,
how I connect with other human beings. That to me, you know, doesn't scientists like quantum physics and all talk about energy and vibration? Can we see
well,
that?
I was gonna say, Bobby, like even the word for me, even the word spiritual for me, I don't really like it to be honest because it feels like it's loaded, and it does feel like a 12 step term, if I can put it that way as well.
You know
Um,
what? Let me just say this. That's what Alcoholics Anonymous did. They hijacked that word.
mm,
Okay, they actually screwed that word up, and so did the New Age. The New Age screwed the word up too, because everybody
mm,
thinks of spiritual as all positive and not looking at reality and not looking at rational, logical, critical thinking and stuff like that. So
mm,
it's been hijacked, and I agree with you. It's loaded today.
mm. The calmness nature makes you feel, how you connect to that feeling. Okay, thanks, Sophia.
You know
Mm,
what? Sophia just hit on something I think that you were bringing up on the title was serenity,
mm.
secular serenity. Forget about the 12 steps, forget about AA, forget about everything. Serenity. What does serenity mean? The definition: a state of a calmness, a state of peacefulness, a state of order, a state of uh, untroubled nature, kind of holistic feeling, you know. So you
So,
said secular serenity,
Serenity. Mm.
but we can
So,
move on to the steps. Yeah.
yeah, so look, Serenity. I always used to say, I'm clean, but I'm not quite serene. And to be honest with you, I've struggled with serenity. I sort of like enjoy living in a world of where there's like a lot of chaos and sort of maybe uncertainty, and some discomfort, right? Because I feel like that causes me to grow. To be honest, look, that can also be taken to extremes, and I have taken that to extremes, and fallen flat on my face, during those occasions. But
No, I
I,
like that. I like that because you're saying you have do you experience times of feeling serenity? That's all the question is. Do you have times of feeling serene?
I think when I'm like, yeah, at the moment, I feel
Okay, there we
relatively,
go. So, who in the hell
you know,
has serenity all the time?
mm,
I
mm.
mean, I
Well,
don't
there's
think you
people
can
that,
achieve that if you didn't have your attitude that you have. You're an achiever. You're a go-getter. You're an entrepreneur. You're a creator. That's spiritual to me. Okay,
that's it. Exactly. That's what I think too.
that's what you. I mean, you are because I think you were on the show earlier today. Was it when I was listening to
With
Lario and
Laurie.
yourself, and
Yeah,
you were talking about something, and I said, well, that's what makes Ryan beautifully interesting.
sure. Yeah, we're all unique
Okay,
and individuals. Yeah.
I
Thanks.
love it.
Thanks for
I
that,
love
man.
it.
Yeah. Serene, like a lot of these guys sort of tout, you know, these nature walks and sort of like, they don't have they never have any troubles, and they just kind of like, but at the same time, I think there's something that they're sacrificing on that front too. It's like okay, cool. Well, you know, what are you achieving? What are you out there doing? Are you pushing yourself? So again, thank you for that, because that that to me um, brings a sense of serenity. And it's not to say though, Bobby, that I don't have challenges. Like today, I mean, I was on the phone. I was on the phone to my lawyer today. I was on the phone to this. Actually on the phone to like three different lawyers today, and I was on the phone. Who else? I was talking to this auctioneer that I've got selling some stuff, and things weren't going my way. Do you know what I mean? But despite the fact that things weren't necessarily going my way and it was frustrating, it's that process is also just enjoyable for me. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Um,
I think that's a attribute. I think that's an attribute. That's a gift.
I don't
That's
have
what
to,
I.
yeah, I don't have to be chilling by the beach to be spiritual. In other words, it's like,
No, no.
yeah. Okay, so step two, come to believe and accept that we needed strengths beyond our awareness and resources to restore us to sanity.
Well, first of all, they're saying I'm insane, and how can you label everybody that comes in Alcoholics Anonymous insane? You're going to restore me to sanity. That means I'm insane.
I looked that word up. I looked it up. What the definition? It's not a clinical term. It's like a colloquial sort of way of seeing things. But apparently, um, there was a court in America that what? Oh no, this was a different issue. So this court in America, I'm going to talk about this. This court in America identified an IQ of 70 as being the benchmark for mental retardation. Okay. Um,
And I'm retarded here.
no, listen, man. What is your IQ 70? No, it can't be 70. You like
No, I'm just
70?
saying I could be. I don't know. Maybe I am. You know what?
No, no,
Look,
no.
I'm not going to let a statistic or an analysis or a thing define my my spiritual being anyhow. So go ahead, finish that. I'm sorry, Ryan.
No, no, no. Look, the point that I'm trying to make, I suppose, is that what was the point that I was trying to make?
Well, you were doing a calculation with the the, the
Yeah, look,
70.
yeah. So and it comes back to religious conversion. Um, I can't remember what the point was, but anyway. So step two. Okay, so you mentioned insanity. This particular step that I mentioned, yeah, it didn't mention the word insanity though. Bobby, remember, this is this woman's version of the secular 12 steps. So came to believe and accept that we needed strengths beyond our awareness and resources to restore. Okay, it does mention sanity, to restore us to sanity. So it's implying that we're insane. Okay, so you're saying that you disagree um,
Look,
with them.
I disagree with the secular AA altogether.
Okay,
I throw it out, okay, because it's no difference, and you know my opinion on that because I did a podcast on two separate wings of the same bird. Look, they
yep.
believe in authority. They believe in the authority of Alcoholics Anonymous, and there's a reason for that because Alcoholics Anonymous will change. They will evolve. They will change eventually. They're giving the secular movement just a little bit of just some little seeds, okay? The big tent, they gave them that little thin book and they're giving them a couple other pamphlets. They're going to change because they don't want to lose the membership. Secular and agnostic AA is under the same pyramid hierarchy, multi-level marketing, money-making profit scheme, okay? It's the exact same thing.
So we had a guy from Cape Town, the Cape Town group. Their group is actually called Secular Serenity, and they run their group on a Thursday. I forget what his name was, but he was a really cool guy.
I listened to him. I loved him.
Yeah, a really
I
cool guy.
listened to him. I loved him. He was cool. I liked him. I'm not talking
He,
about people.
no, 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 no. I was just saying he mentioned that apparently Secular AA, the official Secular AA in Canada, sued AA World Services to be so that they could be recognized as a part of AA.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's they did AA a favor because they're keeping it powerful. Secular AA, if they had any courage, I'm going to tell them I don't care because I'm really strong with this. I'm 100% strong with it. If they had any courage, they would separate from Alcoholics Anonymous. The only reason why they stayed with Alcoholics Anonymous, and he said it, the gentleman said it. There's so many of them. There's so many meetings, so many
Mm.
people. Okay, that's why. See, if everybody has that mentality, that's why there's never been a third party. Okay, because everybody's afraid to separate and to do their own thing. Well, we're not. I'm not afraid to separate. Okay, I'm okay going alone because you got to go to learn first. If they would, they could separate and become so. They could become a secular movement on their own. There's so many people. But the reason why is because the key players in this secular organization, I'm telling you, they're key players that are writing the big books. They're writing the books. They're writing the material. They're keeping the secular movement with Alcoholics Anonymous because of the conferences, because it has to do with money and power.
I want to just quickly find.
That's why I pushed
Um,
back a little bit on this. But we could go through these 12 steps, and because it's all look, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something here, and listen to this here. God's mentioned 136 times in the big book, right? 164 pages. I'm going to. This is strange. It doesn't come up a lot. People don't like the word higher power. They think it's AA. It's not AA. Higher power. Higher power is only mentioned twice. It's
so when I,
only mentioned twice. You want to talk about higher power? Let's talk about that.
no, well, I mean, so step two. Okay, so if we're gonna sort of look at the 12 steps thing, step two talks about a power greater than ourselves, right? Step three talks about a higher power. Is there a distinct difference between the two from the perspective of a 12 stepper?
Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. I don't like the insanity thing, okay? First of all, I am
Well,
that power. I am that. See, came to believe that a power greater than myself. That's saying I'm looking out of myself. Okay, our group that we just formed is called We Are the Solution. So AA is saying in the second step, look out of yourself and look for the power greater than you,
mm,
discounting you.
mm.
Okay, no, I am the power. I'm part of that power. I'm not separate from it.
So is that kind of like sort of the difference between is that similar to the difference between the words willpower and my will? Okay, because like it takes willpower to get up in the morning at 5 o'clock and go to gym, right? So they're not saying, it's not saying, look, you shouldn't have willpower. Like, you need to use your will to get up and go and do those things, right? Okay, but you need to use your willpower. But they're making a distinction with the word will, in that the word will is, um, so you got to hand your will over. So what's it? That's
So they
your
got to
thought.
give it away. You got to give it away because they
Got to
know
give
the
it away.
will is everything. You got to give it away, give it away, give it away, give it away. They know will is everything. Okay? They know, see, made a decision to turn our will. My will is without will you're enslaved.
Mm,
When somebody takes your will away, it's will is everything. It's your generated part. It's your heart. It's your mind. It's your body. It's your thinking. You can't do anything without the will. It's a desire. Okay, so here will in our lives, care, give it over to the care. Now, care is even more important than will. Care is what our attention is, where our attention goes. What do we care about?
mm.
What do we care about? Our care is our attention. So they want to take our action. You got to put your will behind your care and go towards the action to create something, an outcome.
Bobby, I think I jumped the gun with that one. So I just want to go back to the step two concept, right? So I've got a definition for the word sane here, right? So it says having or showing reason, sound judgment, or good sense. So wouldn't you say that anybody in the throes of an alcoholic, or I don't want to use, like, maybe in the throes of a dependence on alcoholism, doesn't show good reason, sound judgment, or good sense. I mean, could we agree on that? See?
Well, if that was the case, then pilots fly damn airplanes and they're considered alcoholic, right? They label them alcoholic and they're flying our airplanes. There's judges, lawyers, doctors, Indian chiefs. There's everybody out there that's habitual problem drinkers. Not everybody, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So, what the hell? How are they so
I
different?
mean, okay, so step 2, we're gonna throw out. See?
Throw it out. Step 3, that's a definite, that's where they hijack you. Okay, step 3 is where they get you, and they'll get you subliminally. They'll get you slowly, osmosisly. They'll get it's a repetitive repetition mantra that takes time to get into the subconscious and take over.
Yeah. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate because you're pushing back really hard, yeah, Bobby. But I want to play devil's advocate. So you're saying, if I understand correctly here, that you come in because you've found yourself in a bad place. So you come into a place, you get to a place where you recognize that things are not in order and they could be in order. Okay, but you don't quite know exactly how to get them into order. Okay, because if you did, you wouldn't be in the bad place, right? Okay,
Right.
so if you don't know how to get them in order, how do you get them back in order then? And that's where step 2 comes in. It's like, okay, cool. Well, maybe something outside of yourself knows how to get you back in order. So maybe you need to look for that answer.
No,
You know,
but I'm not looking for any answer because Alcoholics Anonymous won't allow me to look for any answer because they have the answer, and the answer is A, B, and C.
no,
Look
sure.
up
Look,
A, B, and C. Hey, we're talking about Alcoholics Anonymous here, okay? So look at A, B, and C. A, B, and C. That we were alcoholic, could not manage our lives. B, that no human power could restore our sanity, and God could have and would if He were sought. That's the 3 pertinent ideas. That's the main that's the main crux of the whole program.
aside from Alcoholics Anonymous, though, so if we cut them out of the picture, right?
Cut them out of the picture and let's go to some other modality. Let's go to therapy.
Oh,
Let's go to anywhere.
yeah.
Because
So
you know
okay,
what? Here, you know what? Alcoholics Anonymous has no solutions. They have no strategic tools or strategies to tell you other than to go to God. Okay, they have no other. There's no other place to go.
So listen. This is some of I've been looking at this over the last couple of days, right?
I'll go to
And
Lario. I'll go to Lario. That's where I'm going to get some of my tools and strategies. That's how I'm going to
sure,
get out of it. That's how I'm
yeah,
going to go. I'll go to her
yeah,
because she's not dogmatic. She's a therapist with a rational, logical understanding of critical thinking, and she's educated. Well, I don't mean to use the word but she's quote a professional. She has experience. Okay,
yeah.
and I think she mentioned something on the last podcast about mind control. Let me just say something about that mind control. If Lario's listening to this, you know what? Therapy in itself is you got to be a pretty good mind control. You got to not mind control. Mind reading minds. What was that called? When we read minds.
Oh,
When
yeah,
when we're reading minds.
yeah.
You,
Well, mind reader. Sure.
mind
Yeah,
reader, okay?
that's
We
the
have
phrase.
look.
Yeah,
I gotta admit, I'm a pretty good mind reader, and to be a good therapist, you have to really have that type of talent to see beyond, because you've been seeing so many people. Our minds are kind of similar, okay? So we get this repetitive information and knowledge of human behaviors, and we can read into some minds. Now, mind reading is a pain in the ass, and I'm not suggesting, but some people have the talent to be able to do it better than others. But I understand what you were talking about. We do that, and that's not a good thing. But I just
but
wanted to say that.
so look, man, religious conversion as a means to cure alcoholism. Okay, I like the word alcoholism. I'm just going to use it for ease of reference, right? Yeah, religious conversion as a means to cure alcoholism. That's what the 12 steps aims for. I mean, that's what they're using. They're trying to use they're trying to invoke a form of um, uh, uh, like a psychic change, right? Okay, which is effective, Bobby. I mean, it's shown to be effective. I mean, people listen. I had a friend, Brian. Okay, he helped me start the rehab. Right, this guy was injecting like things in his groin, and he almost lost his arm because of his heroin addiction. And he had a stroke when he was 16 from using cocaine. He was like a drug addict. If there was ever a drug addict, Brian was a drug addict. And I remember seeing him around at school, and well, he wasn't really at school, but I see him on the street, and I ended up at his house at one point, and I used all his drugs. He tried to get me. And, it's a long story, but he tried to get me high and steal all my stuff, right? But that didn't work. And anyway, so 5 years later, I saw him at a meeting, an NA meeting, and he was a different person, wasn't the same person. And I mean that in every single possible conceivable way, like physically, he had changed. He was a 12-stepper. He was a 12-step Nazi. That dude was a full-blown right-wing, like, he would die for the steps, like on a fucking hill. Like, that's how this guy rolled, right? And it saved his life. It saved his life. But at what expense? Look,
At
11
what
years later.
expense? At what expense? That was it. Okay, at what
Well,
expense? Well, it took his freedom away because he's stuck in NA for the rest of his life, and he's a Nazi AA. He's a
but,
fanatic. But here's the
Bobby,
deal. Here's what you were getting at.
yep.
Yes, yes, he is a different, complete
Saved his life,
person.
eh?
He is a
Yes,
different,
that's what
complete
I'm
person.
saying.
Okay, that's what you're getting at. But listen, here's the thing. He did it. It
Yeah.
wasn't AA. It was not Alcoholics Anonymous. It was him. He could have succeeded in any program he went to. He could have succeeded in therapy, not going to programs. He could have succeeded in any type of method or modality, and it would have still worked. He decided to change. Okay, that's the power that's the message that I want to give people. They have the power. Okay, it was him that did it,
I'm
and I'll give him
struggling with that.
credit.
I'm
Okay,
struggling with that. I feel like he was indoctrinated. I think he was
yeah.
indoctrinated into, and there was a psychic religious experience that he had. And I'm not condoning that, hey? I'm not condoning that. Like, I am an atheist. And that's not and that's not to say anything about the institution that I have a part to play in, but because we've got all different aspects to it. But I think he was indoctrinated, and there was some kind of religious conversion that occurred, and he was brainwashed. And again, like you
Okay, but
said,
who? Yeah, but
go
who?
ahead.
Yeah, go
He
go
came back
ahead.
a different, he came back a different person. So I know what you're saying. You're saying that the person that he was before he was indoctrinated made the decision to go and become indoctrinated, and
Oh
and
no, I'm saying every time it's not happened like that. It doesn't
no.
happen like that. Okay, so he was indoctrinated, but he was the one that chose it. He was the one that listened. He was the one that read the books. He was the one that got the sponsor. He was the one that converted other people. He was the one that moved around and changed his mind to believe that the program did it for him. He did it. He just
Hmm.
doesn't know it. He thinks it's Alcoholics Anonymous that did it. That's the cult. That's the fanatic cult mentality. Look up any cult. Look up the definition of cult, and Alcoholics Anonymous goes right along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It says we have a deity like Bill W is our God. Our coins are our gifts. We give our identities away. Call ourselves alcoholic. We follow the leader. I mean, it's just look up the definition of a cult.
100% agree to the max. There's no question in my mind that that
Let's
that
get back to secular.
that
Okay.
there's look. Hold on. There's a minority of these right wing nutcases that do this indoctrinating and do all of those things, Bobby. But I think the majority of people in AA aren't necessarily um, cult members. if I can put it that way, or they aren't overly zealous cult members, if I can put it that way, at least. Like I know
I
for me, I didn't
we
go
we were
in.
we were talking about that one guy. That's all.
Brian, yeah, no, listen, the guy was brainwashed, hey, 100% indoctrinated. He wasn't the same person. And that
There's
that's
there
that's scary,
there's
but it saved his life, though. It saved
there's
his life. He was dying.
he saved his life.
The
That's
indoctrination did.
that's no. I don't believe that. I believe he saved his life. He just adopted the indoctrination, but it was him that did it. He saved his life, just like millions have saved their lives in different other modalities. And some people save their lives not going to a program; they just decide to quit. Some people join religion; they save their life. They'll attribute the religion to saving their lives. Some people will go to freedom model. Some people will go to moderation. Some people do it this way, that way. There's and it comes from them. It's got to come
Uh,
from them.
no, sure, I hear you. I hear you. So, okay, let me see the next one here. So, are we gonna follow these? Are we gonna go through these?
Well,
The-
look, step 3 is taking over your will and your life and your care. That's the imprisonment and enslavement. Getting back to this indoctrination or saying that some aren't cult members and some are.
Hmm.
Okay, let's forget the word cult. You're a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and you're indoctrinated into some of the ideology and dogmatic practices, lest you wouldn't religiously defend it in certain occasions. You would be able to go outside the box and come back in. Okay, in Alcoholics Anonymous, you cannot express any outside opinions. Against any other program. You know,
Yeah, that's why I think people like you and I aren't the same as the ones that have been indoctrinated. You're not the same as them.
I was indoctrinated.
You think so? Like,
Oh, years ago, I was
oh, really?
indoctrinated. Oh, definitely. But it was my choice. But I was the one that was always cognitive dissonance, always ambivalent, always not having it. Do I have it? And there's more of us like that than there are the zealots,
Hmm.
fanatics. Okay, because they don't because they're doing this and doing that, and it don't make sense. It don't add up. Something's wrong.
What was
And
it that caused you to kind of start sort of being a bit more cynical about it
I,
and
I
being
was
less?
from the beginning. But see,
Hmm.
38 years ago, there was no other models. There was no other choices. Okay, so where was I going to go? I was in Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's where I was. I could have went to another religious group. Could have went to a Catholic. They had their thing. Christians had their thing. They can save you. They put you underwater, and you see Jesus, and you're saved, and stuff like that. If you want to believe that stuff, but slowly but surely, it's almost. Let me say this. This
Hmm.
is where spiritual comes in. I think the spirit. It's almost like you know. It's almost like even when you come in, something is wrong. Okay, it's not right. It doesn't resonate with you, but slowly through the messaging and the indoctrination and the programming and the repetition, you tend to believe it more than your gut.
Hmm.
Okay, so you will go against your true nature, uh, the true spirit, and you tend to sway that way. That's why it's like this. That's why the cognitive dissonance is like this. That's why it's ambivalence. How can I how can I go to meetings, stay sober, and how can I go away on vacation for a weekend and still stay sober? How can I have a sponsor and stay sober and not have a sponsor and stay sober? How can I be an atheist in AA and stay sober and people say I have to have God in AA? So it's all bullshit, okay? Because it's
So what
proven.
about this thing of being a dry drunk?
Dry drunk. That's just a saying. That's the stupidest saying. You know what I used to say when I was indoctrinated? I used to say, well, I'd rather be a dry drunk than a real drunk. And that's what they'll say, I'd rather be a dry drunk than a real drunk. A dry drunk just means being an asshole. Okay? Well, what the hell? How many assholes are there that don't go to AA?
Oh,
What,
that
what,
that
what
would
do we
make
want to call them? Dry
that would
drunks?
make every 12-step Nazi a dry drunk.
Right? Throw that
Great.
out the window. Throw that out the
Okay.
window.
Okay. All right. And any value with regards to the introspective process that comes with the searching and fearless moral inventory.
No, because they're constantly telling you you're wrong and it's your fault. Through the rest of your life, you got to make amends. It's an act of contrition. It's a
Mm,
Catholic act of contrition. AA is a Christian. It's really more Christian because Matt Talbot, who is they're canonize him as a saint, and a Catholic Church promotes Alcoholics Anonymous. They have their own retreats, spiritual retreats, Matt Talbot retreats, and Bill W's sponsor was a for 20 years was a Jesuit priest, Father Dowling, who was a Catholic Jesuit. And the Jesuits, what do? They preach. They go out and convert. Okay, so Father Dowling was teaching Bill W how to convert. Okay,
mm.
he was teaching him how to convert, and this whole thing is a conversion to the indoctrination of God, their own religion. Let me read something here on page 188 in the Big
Listen,
Book.
Bobby, just before you do that, man, I've got to just say though, it's effective. It's effective. Um, I'm not condoning it when I say that. Hey, I'm not condoning that when I say that. But it sort of plays on a very primal part of the human, the fundamental part of the human being. Like cultures all across the world sort of adopt the idea of there being some kind of higher power or God, right? Okay. I mean, all cultures all over, right? And I think, like you say, you often use the word they've appropriated uh, that concept, and they've sort of like distilled it, and they figured out how to use it in an effective way, right? So it's. I hope you don't mind me saying or what? What do you reckon?
What's that? You said it's effective. Yeah, it's
It's
effective.
effective.
It's
It is.
effective. It affects the mind and the body and the spirit and the emotions and the feelings. Look, it's trickery. It's an occult. It's
Yeah,
trickery. It's
yeah.
disguised into something that it's not. It's
I'd
it's
say
a
it goes a
it's the
step further than religion. Yeah,
It's to capture. Look, here's something. Look, I'll read this right here. This is Dr. Bob. This is the first story. The first story, you go into stories. This is the second story. Alcoholics Anonymous number 3. Okay,
yeah.
alcoholics. The third alcoholic was D. Right, his name. He says this here. 2 days before this, Dr. Bob had said to me, if you and I are going to stay sober, we had to better get busy. Straight away, Bob called Akron City Hospital and asked for the nurse on the receiving ward. He explained that he and a man from New York had a cure for alcoholism. This is back in 19. This is before even this was written. They went to the third person. Bill had 6 months sober. Dr. Bob had like a couple weeks, and then Bill D had 2 days, and he was converted through the spiritual conversion through God, And he said that we have a cure for alcoholism. So first they had to create the disease of alcoholism, and Dr. Silkworth said to Bill, promote the disease concept. Okay, so you got to have the disease first, and then we promote the cure. So they
Who said
sell
that?
the disease.
Dr.
They
Bob told
sell. Oh yeah, no. Silkworth told Bill, and then Bob,
Silkworth.
and then this is what Bob told Dr. Bob told Bill. He said he explained it. We had a cure for alcoholism. Okay, they had to pump the cure out. You have to create a disease, and then you create the cure, which is 12-step ideology, and pumped out throughout the whole world.
Look, one of the things that also like really grates me is that they bring up Carl Jung, who's that famous psychologist who
Yeah,
he had a lot to say about sort of like the hero's journey and what is that called?
shadow work and Carl
Shadow
Jung.
work,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of other things, yeah. And I think from what I understand, there was only ever one letter that was
That's
sent.
all. That's it.
That was it. It was like the way they carry on about this is as though this great psychologist that sort of
No,
had the answer to everything was best mates with Bill W. And it's like, no,
no,
that's not
that's
what.
not true. That's not
Yeah.
true. He's just they just used him as a marketing tool.
They used every single healthcare professional that wrote anything for that big book as a marketing strategy. 100%.
Well, I hate
That's
to, you know,
exactly what it
I'll
was.
someday I'll get into the what is it, the DSM or is it the DMS or DSM? I'll get
Yeah.
into that, but that's written by just human beings that create another disorder every week. But that's a whole nother. We don't even want to get into that right now.
I'm gonna push back very hard on that one, hey Bobby.
Yeah, that's okay because there's so much we agree on. That's okay.
And yeah, no, no, it's cool. We can definitely have a conversation around that, say. But okay, cool. So look, so AA doesn't have the solution, right? Or they've got a solution
Yeah,
that
they
works for
got
some,
they got a
and
solution. They got a
that's
solution,
not the
and it
solution that
works because they believe
I.
you believe it works.
Yeah,
The
but
power of the
so
mind is unbelievable. It works because not because you work it, is because you believe it works. Okay,
straight.
and
Yeah.
you want to stop. You have the see. They knew because Rockefeller was pulling the strings. Rockefeller Foundation is the master puppeteers, and Bill was just a little puppet of this whole creation of Rockefeller's temperance movement. So they knew through like Napoleon Hill, and they knew through all the great minds and understood the occult, the hidden knowledge. They knew that you had to have a desire. That's why it says the only requirement for membership is a desire
Mm,
to stop drinking because it comes from you. Where does that desire come from?
mm. Sure. So listen. Okay. So what do you reckon it is about AA that does work for people, besides the fact they're choosing to believe that it works?
Nothing.
Like
It
the,
should
the sense of
not.
community.
No. What? They create.
Like,
Look, we all we
I
eat
know,
the human
yeah.
beings create their own destiny. So they create their own reality, their own perception of the world or whatever. They're just look. I was in Alcoholics Anonymous, but I was pushing back little by little all along, always, because I always wanted to help somebody maybe expand their consciousness because I always went outside the box. I always went outside the triangle. I used to do one-on-one therapy. I used to work in a psychiatric hospital for 13 years. So I had some experience. I used to read a lot of different books. So I went to yoga, to meditation meetings. I listened to other people. So I was becoming aware. My consciousness was expanding. So
Mm,
I I didn't have any other place to go. Where in the hell was I going to help people? Where was I going to help somebody expand their awareness other than
mm,
Alcoholics Anonymous? I was doing the opposite. I was trying to tell people there's more out there when I didn't
mm,
even have a place to go, you
mm,
know? So I was, at the end, I was alone in that program.
mm,
I was alone. I didn't feel connected into that
mm,
program because there was so much disconnect. Because most of the people were always parroting. They were
mm.
always parroting the message. Okay, so it was hard for me when I go back. I'd get all this parroting messaging back there, and it stopped me from growing.
And I 100% agree. Hey, I think, and it's okay to sort of like move on from stuff that you grow out of. I think, you know, um,
I
and
love
you know,
the. Go
yeah.
ahead, go. No, go.
No, it's just this, there were, a lot of people like, I think you posted a video, some guy ranting about um, it being the only way and wada, and it's like, look, it takes all sorts to make the world go round, man, but, and each to their own and all the rest of it, but um, it's not for me. And I think that's okay. The God stuff isn't for me. Um, and in terms of an ongoing process of self discovery, I want to do it differently. I don't want to do it, you know, by their book.
I think you're doing it. I mean, we're doing it right now. People don't
Good.
understand. We're in therapy right now. Okay, when I watch Lario and yourself, you're getting a free therapy session.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
every time I do this, that's why I do it
right?
twice a day.
That's right. So you're getting a free therapy session. Lario doesn't know, but you're ripping her off. Okay, you could be paying her. But here's the thing is that when I
I'm,
post that when I post that to my Anonymous Addiction, and come join us at Anonymous Addiction at My Truth About AA, as Bobby C sees it, on Facebook private group. When I post Ryan and Lario's video of the relationship, interpersonal relationship workshop, I know it can help somebody. I post stuff that I believe in.
Sure.
Okay, so I believe she has the skill set, and you do too. And I can see that what you're getting out of it, because you're questioning and you're using your life experience for the feedback of the question and answer session. So I'm observing all this stuff. I always say think, question, observe, and become aware through life experience, through time, through this self-discovery thing that we're doing here.
So, Bobby, the thing with interacting with a psychologist, right, is it can get very expensive. Like, they're highly paid individuals, and they're very, very skilled at what they do. It's not some random addict that's done a couple of hours of of counseling, and now he's a, that's not that. It's fucking precise stuff going on here. So the point I'm trying to make is, I think the argument from the other end, and I've heard this argument a lot, is like, okay, cool. Well, can you phone your psychologist at 9 o'clock at night, and they'll answer and get out of bed and come and meet you for a coffee to talk you down from drinking, for example? It's like, no, that'll only happen with somebody from AA, right? So I see we've got a comment before I talk myself into a corner. It's when people are the weakest, the most vulnerable, and that is when people approach you to make it easier to convince you otherwise. Your own will is weaker, then you are more likely to follow the flock of sheep. No, well, look, if you land up outside the doors of an AA meeting for the first time, you're in a vulnerable place, eh? That's 100% gonna be the case. You're gonna be, or you're gonna be court ordered there. You're gonna be like, if you're from the States, right? They're gonna have sent you.
Yeah, thank you, Sophia. We're so grateful to have Sophia on, and she's always there for us, and she always puts some comments back, and we got to have her on to do a three-way conversation. But let me get back to this therapy thing. I'm going to get a lot of crap from me saying this, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, and a lot of people are going to understand what I'm saying. Just because somebody has a degree and is considered a professional and went and got a lot of education and a lot of indoctrination themselves from the universities and colleges, that doesn't mean they're all good. Okay, I've seen a lot of idiots that shouldn't be therapists and psychologists and doctors and psychiatrists, okay, throughout all my years. And I'm going to say this too. I can pick them out. It resonates with me. A good one resonates with me, okay? I'm keen enough. I've been around long enough. I have enough education myself, or I have enough life experience in this 38 years of this addiction recovery industry. Okay, I've been around so long that I can sense good layers of therapy myself. And this is what I found out. A lot of people, they discount people like myself because they'll say, you don't have a degree, Bobby. How could you help me when a therapist with a degree, or maybe with a bachelor's or a master's or even a PhD, they must have more education. Some of them don't. I'm gonna say right here on this channel that I have probably more wisdom, more knowledge, and more experience than a lot of people with PhDs. And I'm gonna admit it.
So I'm gonna push back and say that's a little bit unfair, I think, because I think that you might have competencies that might be different to the competencies that people with that have spent many years focusing on one particular course of or field of study. Listen, I sat in front of a psychiatrist, and I'll never forget this. Um, I was in a bad way. I was pretty much out of my mind, and I sat down in front of him, and I said, "Listen, you're basically a legalized drug dealer, and I don't care what you have to say to me. Like, I'm not listening." And he said, "Listen, I studied for 14 years, sorry, 14 years to get my doctorates and all of that, right? Um, and I told him to basically shove his doctorate up his ass, right? That's what I said to this guy, right? And that was many years ago. That was many years ago, and I had zero respect for healthcare professionals, like zero. Um, and that's since changed a hell of a lot. Eh? They've saved. I've had people who are highly qualified, highly trained individuals that have saved my life. And listen, this is in contrast to me reaching out to people who are who are addicts or recovering alcoholics, from NA and AA, who haven't been able to help me. Um, so I'm going to push back on that, Bobby. I think
To me,
where you
that's not a
are,
pushback. To me,
where
that's
you,
not a pushback.
where you are right is that some people are shit psychologists, or some people are shit doctors, or whatever. They're not very good. Not very competent. Um, but they're few and far between. Hey, I have to like insist on that. Hey.
That's, you know what, you're not pushing back. Look, I go from a spectrum. I keep on saying this over and over again. Say if there was from 0 to 100. I go I go in between. Okay, so I said the same thing that you said, but I didn't say, like, I never would have said that I have a disrespect for another human being that's trying to help me. Okay, so if a doctor's trying to help somebody, that's fine. I don't like. I'm just saying, be careful. Okay, be careful out there. Watch who you go in front of. I just experienced that through life experience with human beings. I happen to have been in a lot of groups, and I ran a lot of
Mm,
groups in institutions and in rehabs and different settings, and I've worked with different therapists, and my family has worked with some therapists, and I've
mm,
seen the range of good, greater, better, and not
mm,
so
mm,
good.
mm,
That's
mm.
all I'm saying.
No,
And
sure.
I'm saying, do not discount wise old men or women.
Mm. No, agreed. And I think, I mean, everybody's got some wisdom to their credit. Eh?
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so look, I think to sort of like put a bow around that one. What I was saying as well, what I was saying as well is that, oh, give me a second, that whale thing's picking up. Um, so yeah, psychologists can become very expensive. Good quality healthcare is expensive. Okay, um, what was I answering that in? I
Yeah,
was
but here the thing is, what I was getting at is that people why I posted that on why I post you and Lario, why I posted on my channel is because it's free. So you're giving information out that's very valuable to the
mm,
listeners for free.
mm,
Take advantage of it, ladies and gentlemen.
mm. Absolutely, yeah. So, okay, cool. So, do you want to move on to another step, or do you want to wrap that up here, Bobby?
It's up to you. It's all God. Admitted to God. The next five, that's five. We're entirely ready to have God. That's six. Humbly asked Him, which is God. And then 11, sought through prayer and to prove our conscious contact with God. It's look. It's all about God. If you don't think it is, spirituality only mentioned twice in 164 pages. I mean, higher power. Okay, higher power only mentioned twice. Okay, a lot of people. I believe in a higher power. I believe in a power just as great as me or higher than me. I believe in look, energy, wind. Wind is a hell of a power. Sun is very powerful. That's a higher power to me.
Mm. So yeah, look, if it's something that's going to help you move in a healthy direction, you know, that's it's I think that's something to
So
remember as well.
so secular spirituality or secularism or secular recovery, serenity, secular serenity. I think to sum it up, this is a secular serenity meeting.
Got technical there on a couple of occasions, but I think
Eh,
that's
I'm gonna
okay, and
get pushed.
that's
Hey,
the point.
I'm gonna get wrath from whatever I say anyhow. So here, another thing about look, I'll just say this, and I'm probably hitting a look. Where does where who? Here's the thing: is if you listen to some of my podcasts, you find out where the education, where it who indoctrinated, who created the education system and the medical system, who trained them, where did it come from? Marty Mann and Jeranik and Christopher Brinkley, they put millions and millions and millions to pump in the disease concept. So a lot of these psychiatrists, doctors, and all the nurses and practitioners and judges and lawyers and courts and stuff are indoctrinated through colleges and through universities and through the education system. So we can't deny that they are indoctrinated too, okay, in a sense. That's all I'm saying. So we got to watch and be careful if you go to a therapist that's indoctrinated through the 12-step system. See, when I listened to Lario, I never heard her mention God. I never heard her mention 12 steps. I never heard her mention disease. So this stuff
She's a look, and the reason for that is because she's a professional. You know,
well,
she's not.
that's
No,
not,
there's a reason.
that's not, well, that's your reason, but
100. No, no, no.
whatever. I,
I know what she personally believes. I know that. I have
that's her personal moral
that
belief. That's
exactly.
her. That's from her. That's not from
No,
the
but she
schooling.
doesn't. But she doesn't
That
try and shove it down anyone's throat,
no,
and
she
she doesn't
doesn't.
try and take her subjective experience and say, "Hey, well, this is the only solution." She
That's
doesn't
right.
do any of that.
But
See,
but a
she's
lot of them
and
do. A
the
lot of
reason
them
is
do. A lot
the
of them
reason.
do.
Oh well, then okay, then you know you're not getting your uh,
Every rehab, every
but
rehab that,
you know,
every rehab that look, every rehab in the United States before they started letting people go to smart recovery, the only indoctrination was the 12-step indoctrination there, and they told the therapists tell the people that they must go to Alcoholics Anonymous to survive. I mean,
Bobby, I have to also tell you, man, the standard in South Africa is way higher than the standard in the States, eh? When it comes to psychology.
good. That's good.
Like
That's
it
great.
is. I know it is. It's like you can have a doctorate in clinical psychology in the States. If you come over to South Africa, sorry, you have to start from zero, man. It's
Well,
like
then I'm just informing you of the United
no,
United
no,
States.
no, no,
Okay,
no, no, but
I don't live in
it's
South Africa, but I'll tell you what: if I went to South Africa, I could pick out the good ones and the bad ones.
I think if somebody like the ethical sort of stuff that goes on in the states, and because there's a lot of that capitalism sort of like drive for profit. Okay, and you say the medical industry or the pharmaceutical industry is tainted and all the rest of it. Um, yes, there's some of that in this country, but if you get caught doing any of that kind of shit, it's serious, man. It's not a joke. Okay, it's not like you can just pay some lobbyist to go and pay a politician. It's like not in the healthcare industry. It doesn't work like that here. Um, and I hope somebody can disagree with me and come on and talk about that because I know there are people out there that do disagree with that statement. But anyway, cool, Bobby. Should we wrap it up? Hey,
Yes,
any closing
sir.
any closing comments?
Crazy, crazy. Yeah, people are going to call me crazy, conspiracy, controversial. I don't care.
No, you hit some. You made some value. I think you made some valid points. 100%. You pushed back on me, and I gave a bit of a pushback as well. gets uncomfortable though sometimes, eh?
Not
Like,
for me. No,
it's
I love it.
uncomfortable.
I love it. I love you.
No, likewise, man. Of course. Yeah. Okay. No, but it's always insightful, man. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna wrap it up, and then I'll see you on the other end, eh?
Take care, brother.
Okay, cool, man. Ciao.